I'm gonna say I'm calling it to order then.
Yeah.
That's what you're
Okay.
telling me.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna start with budget hearings. Sarah and Lindsay from ND2 Extension are here. We'll start with them on page 37.
Okay, well, as you can see, here is the ND2 Extension Ramsey County budget. The first three parts are the salaries. You've got Lindsay, as you may recall, NDSU and the county our salaries are split. So that you will see half the county share of our salaries, and NDSU picks up our benefits. The secretary would be Cindy's salary, and then with the next one would be Trisha's, and we would like to see her bumped up to an $18 per hour salary. She's doing an amazing job for us. We would love to keep her as long as possible.
What's she at now?
1648,
Okay.
16, something 8.
And is that a 20-hour week or 10?
Yeah, it's right before benefits.
So with that, does the part-time get the 4% also? No, right, or what, how's that?
You kind of just take care of your part-time as you want to. I mean, that's how I do mine. my
Yeah, I
office.
think I look
Yeah.
at whatever percentage and I,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because you can get a job at McDonald's for $18
Yeah.
an hour, so.
Sorry.
And then, fixed charges will get put in there as soon as Candy receives them.
Yep, we're waiting for Blue Cross.
When do we think we're gonna hear from them?
They told me this week, so hopefully.
Hello.
Travel, I guess we did decide to add a little bit in there, just with the way inflation is. Lindsay's been doing some good farm visits for us and things like that, so we just kind of decided to do that. Equipment repairs are minimal. We decided to add a little bit more for registration. This year Lindsay got her first year of her Egg Association dues paid for by the association, but next year we'll have to pay that, and we're not quite sure if she's gonna join the 4-H association yet, but she's sure welcome to do that. Both Cindy and I belong to that association as well. And then our office supplies are next. Miscellaneous. As we are doing more face-to-face education, that's where the miscellaneous, we decided to add a bit more in there because when we are doing education with the public, we do like to, with the education in the schools, we like to provide samples, incentives. We've got gardening supplies for all of our, so we've seen that post-COVID, those things kind of picking up. And then when I first started my role, I did get some federal funds with that role, but we no longer receive those funds, so we're kind of seeing that hit us too. So that's why we added a bit more with the miscellaneous. So anything else that you can see added?
Okay,
Unless no have questions?
any
or-
questions?
I think it looks good. Thank you.
Okay, no questions? Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now Chris, in the back.
Good afternoon.
Page 14 and 35, 36.
14 is risk management.
Okay,
That one first.
Yep.
yours as well.
Absolutely no change. So,
Okay.
absolutely no change on that one.
Okay, that's easy enough. Keep up with that one, that's good. Changes.
35 is yours.
Okay, 35, the only thing that's really changed, gross salary, telephone I did up, we added the, communication boost pack on my cell phone line, so it's gonna reflect that on the bill, so it will be going up. So I bumped that up just a hair. Everything else I kept the same, minus the second page. I added a vehicle maintenance, because I would like to see maybe a vehicle from some ARPA funds, if that would be available.
Okay,
Chris, what do you have for a vehicle
My own,
on? You used to have one? Long time ago.
Yeah, we did.
had like an expedition or something way back when.
Yeah, it kind of went to the
Okay, sorry.
junk.
It was salvage time, huh?
I wouldn't use the word joke, but it kind of,
It was salvage time.
let me see, then I think we had a
We had a
car,
car for a while.
yeah, and
I
the
don't know if that's,
car didn't get started often as it should have been, so then the radio, everything like sucked the battery, and then did go to drive it and end up somewhere with a dead battery.
I think I remember that.
You never
so
actually
does
killed
he
it.
have to request going through the ARPA committee, or we can request, or he can request a vehicle? Does everything have to go through them?
No, I
No.
wouldn't
Or
think
we
so.
can do that?
I think we just put it
I
in the
would,
budget
I
if we
would
want
say
to, but-
instead of the ARPA money, go to the COVID.
or COVID.
Cause we've still
Oh,
got
okay.
$400,000 some dollars
Yeah,
less
it's
than
like
that.
3, yeah, it's just,
That's from
it's
the
just under
initial-
4.
From the initial, the initial
Yes.
532, we still got
Yes.
plenty of cash.
So is this what we were gonna do for the tax office too?
Mhm.
Of the same?
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah.
my question would be is, for instance, like, so, we had 60,000 in for radios, and I know we didn't know when we were gonna start buying radios, right? So we had it in for 21 and 22, so we did levy that $60,000, right, in the final
Mhm.
budget.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we should have a kitty of money sitting there for radios then,
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And there's anywhere from a 6-month to 12-month waiting period now.
Yeah, they're really struggling with radio BIOS.
Well,
Parts
that's
from,
anything right
parts from overseas are taking a little bit longer.
And there's a big portion of your budget that's reimbursable.
Yes.
Yes. So that's one thing to keep in mind with that position is that,
How much is that? You have a figure?
well,
Isn't it half? Is it half
50% of
of
the
our wage?
salary, administration costs,
I
basically.
think 50% of fixed charges, health insurance and stuff, it's covered too, correct, cause it's all employee cost.
Yeah.
Correct.
It just, equipment costs would not be a part of that, so.
Okay.
Do you wanna continue to use your own vehicle, or?
I think we,
And you've been using gas out of your budget for paying for the gas?
Pretty much out of my pocket.
So when you're talking this vehicle maintenance, what are you talking there?
Fuel, brakes,
Okay.
maintenance, just general maintenance on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a rough guess, it's off edmunds.com, I just took
Well,
a.
because I think maintenance is different, not
yeah.
fuels
costs.
are usually.
Right, I just,
You could just call it.
That's why I'm asking, so $7,200 for maintenance is probably high.
We could just call it
It's just-
vehicle
It's
expense.
including the gas,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, just vehicle expense, then, basically.
Yep.
Catch all.
So the question is, whether you want to put money in his budget for a vehicle? Is that right?
No, I think, using that,
ARPA
that
money?
COVID, that COVID money, don't put it in that budget. And
We have two separate lines.
two separate,
Right, yeah.
Basically, we gotta decide what kind of, what are you kind of vehicle are you looking?
looking for a Tahoe, something that's, can we stage up as a command center if anything bad happened.
something that would be 4-wheel or all-wheel drive,
Four-wheel.
some ground clearance, some
Yeah, you gotta have
ability
that.
to securely transport equipment, that kind of thing, yeah.
Okay,
That's all I got.
further questions?
So then on this budget, we're gonna budget it separated from the vehicle thing? Is that kind of what we're doing now?
Yeah, I guess that's how I would look at it, I mean, it's,
Because if it
yeah,
comes out of the money, it won't be.
Part of the budget.
cause
Once
anything,
we buy the vehicle, then we just have to budget the maintenance side of it.
yes, anything on this budget is gonna be what we need to levy for. Anything, something like that, we would consider an off-budget expense, since we have, you know,
That's what I'm saying, just so-
research essentially. And that was gonna be one of my questions, it's not for Chris necessarily, but for Candy, is, so like when any overage in the emergency management budget, does that go general fund, or does that have its own separate levy?
Nope, that has its own.
Okay, so we have money sitting, that $60,000 for radios is just sitting in the emergency management fund right now then, okay. I'm just curious, because I think this year when we're gonna be looking at the budget, we're gonna be looking at, I think we're gonna have to take a good look at what our carryover is sitting at, cause maybe we could fit some of the budget into the carryover, since, you know, we generally, at least since I've been here, we are always very conservative when we budget, we go a little high, make sure we got extra money. So if the money rolls back into those funds, maybe we could, you know, we don't wanna go crazy, but maybe we could take a little bit, just to cut down into that, but we'll have to see where we're sitting there.
Have you shopped around at all, Chris, for a vehicle? Just give us a approximate price.
Yeah, it's really tough right now. I was trying to shoot for the, more of the, they call them SSV, special service vehicle. There's a very small window to buy from. I'm currently having 3 dealerships right now look for those. It might be a long, long way.
You know what kind of money we're looking at?
Well, it depends on option. Just the vehicle price is close to 60,000-70,000.
And you're gonna have radios and all that kind of,
The upfit's almost 20 grand,
yeah.
but that'll all be reusable. And I'm gonna cut out a lot of that upfit. They wanna, of course, they always wanna sell you on everything, but I can get that outfit, yeah, I can get that cut out.
How many miles annually do you expect? 25,000,
Probably close to
20,000?
that.
So probably a 5-7 year time frame for longevity.
Yep.
So you take that over a 5 or 7 year time period, it's not a bad price at all.
Okay. Further questions for Chris?
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Maddie?
That's me.
Howdy.
Howdy. I do have some stuff for you. Sorry, no, I did not print one for you.
I'm hurt.
I know.
What about this guy, huh?
Yeah, reverse favoritism. All right, hello, my name is Maddie Cummings and I am the Director of Outreach and Innovation at the Lake Region Public Library. Before I get into our kind of official budget ask, North Dakota Century Code does dictate that we are supposed to be filing an annual report with our governing bodies, which I don't believe has been happening, so just wanted to take a quick minute to recap some highlights of what is here before you. On the third page, you can see some fun statistics for the library in 2021. We saw over 24,000 physical visitors to the library. We had circulation of over 20,000 materials between books, ebooks, and DVDs, which have kind of hopped in popularity after the pandemic. The following page is just kind of a short breakdown of resources and services that the library offers. Since taking this position, I have found that many people don't quite realize the scope of goods and services that the library offers, so I just wanted to give those in a little breakdown here. One thing that did happen in 2021 was we were promoted from developing to excelling in the North Dakota Library Coordinating Council standards. Only 5 libraries across the state have reached this tier, and this just indicates that we have programming, accessibility, and resources offered that are higher level than most of the libraries in the state. So that was exciting. The next page you'll find just a short fiscal report. As you can see, our revenues come predominantly from the city and the county. Just over $187,000 last year came from these sources. We got a small allocation from the state library. Our maintenance of effort kind of has been missed for the past couple of years, so that number is small, but we're hoping to get that back up. And we had just under $8,000 in donations come in as well. Our expenditures, most of it went towards staff, operations, as one would expect. Almost $22,000 was spent on collection acquisition of new titles and resources available for our patrons. The condition of the library, we're coming up on our 20-year anniversary next year, and we're very fortunate that we've had a very well-functioning building this long. Some things will need to be updated coming up on 20 years here. Our phone systems have been in place since 2000, 2001, as well as our air conditioning system, which we're just finding days like yesterday, we're up to 82 degrees in the library by the end of the day, so we're gonna have to figure something out there. But for this year, we got fans. A couple just fun facts. The American Library Association has created a couple calculators to determine the worth of our public library, as well as a return on investment calculator. Our worth, based on the goods and services that we offer, is over $463,000. And our return on investment for every $1 that was invested in the library, patrons are receiving $2.45 of goods and services back. So not too shabby. I'll let you peruse everything else yourself. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we're very excited for 2022 to continue and looking forward into the future and throwing a big old birthday party next year for their 20-year anniversary.
Have they had someone come out and look at the air conditioning or?
I believe something was looked at under the previous director, but I think there was maybe a little misunderstanding, miscommunication, and so an official bid was never submitted, but it was tossed around that it would be like a $6,000 overhaul, something like that. But since then, we have not had anybody officially come and diagnose what a replacement or upgrade from what we currently have would be.
There is air conditioning in there?
There is. It's supposed to be working, but
Let's get somebody over.
yeah. Yeah, our friends at Lake Region Sheet Metal, they like my calls.
But they haven't been able to fix it.
Well, we recently, one of the heat pumps flooded, and so he came out and he fixed that for us, and now there's no water going to the heat pump, so that was just that last week and this week, so we'll call him again this week and see what he can do for us, for sure.
Yeah, let's get that fixed.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice facility, we don't want
Yeah, yep,
books and, good materials in there we need to take care of.
absolutely, absolutely. Thankfully, the humidity is still well controlled, so
Keep us informed on how
absolutely,
that's going and
certainly,
we'll address it if we need to.
absolutely. In terms of the actual budget, request for 2023, you will see a couple of numbers in italics. These are the numbers that I get from the city. And as we know, there's been some auditor turnover and some other things, and we still don't have final financials for 2021 for several things, let alone our forecast for 2022. So any number that's in italics is pretty much a guesstimation as of July 10th from conversations with the city administrator. But we are requesting from the county our same 3.07 mils that we have requested in the past, which this year approximately will value $142,385.28. This level will just about balance our budget. As you can see, it is off a little bit between revenues and expenditures. We're hoping to get state funding in a level that hasn't been achieved in the last couple of years from the state library. We also have not had any foundation funding in the past couple of years, and so we're hoping that we can get some special projects funded at the end of the year from that as well. The only notable asks or changes from any individual line items, the Lake Region Public Library Board did vote to eliminate the daily late fees that accrue on overdue items, which was 10 cents a day for books and 50 cents a day for DVDs. So that is no longer accruing, but if a patron has an item checked out 30 days past its due date, that patron is then assessed a fine for the entire replacement cost of that item. So instead of $3 for 30 days, then they're being charged $27.99 for the book. And they either return it or they pay it. And that has not affected our circulation in any strong fashion thus far, and so we're excited to see how that goes. But that is a $0 change from, $1,500 of revenue in the past. Beyond that, we believe our electricity level will go up a little bit just based on number of hours we're being open, as well as inflation costs. We're asking for a little bit more money in book purchases for adult and children's books. And line item 43,600 or account, 43,600 is currently publishing and printing. We're asking that go to $1,500 from $1,000 and be utilized more specifically for outreach and adult programming, as there is no budget for these at this time. And that's one thing that could really propel us from the excelling standards by the coordinating council up to future focus, is by offering more programs for ages 12 and over. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Questions from Maddie? And we had, just to add on, we had a lot of discussion about the late fees portion of it. I think we talked about it probably 3 or 4 meetings in a row.
Oh yeah.
Looked at a lot of different studies and research that's been done. And essentially the thought process is that late fees become a barrier to entry to the library, because then people can't check stuff out anymore. So if you just eliminate the late fees, then all of a sudden people can't check stuff out because they have $1 worth of late fees or whatever, because they don't have the money. Then they still, the items don't walk away any more than they do normally. They still show up, it's just you're eliminating the late fees. So it's just a barrier to entry basically. And so far it's been working really well.
Yeah, our circulation statistics remain pretty much unchanged, and it was a big barrier to our technology use, logging on to computers and printing and faxing and those kinds of things, and being one of the only places in town that does printing, copying, scanning, faxing, all in one place for 50 cents a pop, that is definitely something that we want to offer everybody.
How many full and part-time staff are there?
Absolutely. With the addition of my position, there are 2 full-time staff members and anywhere between 4 and 6 part-time staff members, depending on the season. We have a couple circulation assistants who only assist on Saturdays during the school year, but right now we just have 2 circulation assistants, and our children's librarian is also part-time.
And the normal hours are?
They are up to 29 hours per week apiece.
No, as far as library?
Oh, yes, we're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 6, Tuesday, 10:30 to 6, Thursday, 10:30 to 7, and Saturday, 10:30 to 3, so it's about 47 and a half hours per week.
Further questions?
No. Thank you.
Seeing none, thanks, Manny.
Awesome, thank you so much, have a great day.
You too.
Alrighty.
Roger. Adam. For jumping into salary, between steps and percentages and, I don't know, for Randy and I put down what I was told to put down. However, I did, and Seth too, I did forget to add in any overtime. So I just penciled in just $500 for both Ramsey and Seth for overtime. You guys don't have that written in there. I just happened to think of that today. For Seth, rather than whatever percentage he would have gotten, it wasn't much of a percentage, I threw in $18 an hour. He was asking me for if he could get on full time, and I said, no, sorry, we just don't need another full-time person. So I thought if I could maybe bump him up a little bit. Don't want to see him leave, but whatever we can maybe do. So, oh crap.
Yeah, overtime is my next.
Yeah, my next line is overtime. Okay, well, we should be good then. Scratch the 2 500s. Travel, same. Electricity, Memorial Building, put that up 1,000. Electricity courthouse, same. Heat, put that up to 45. Utilities, remain the same. Utilities, Memorial Building, same. Phone service, same. Maintenance for the courthouse, same. Contracts, the same. Capital outlay, same. So came to a total of 348, 168. Now in county building improvements, I put 300,000 in there again. Been talking about a different new phone system, updated phone system for a while. Hopefully that will cover that. I guess I never really, I had talked to Candy and she'd been kind of waiting for numbers and I guess haven't ever really gotten any. That's still true?
No, we have a number, but we were going to go further and do wiring and like if you're gonna have a phone company here, you might as well do all of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what the number you have, is that?
Well, that's been,
But where was that in relation to the 300,000?
it's like 87.
Okay, well, we should be good.
But that's with the wiring.
Yeah.
Without wiring, that's just
Figure
phone.
that.
And we were still planning on generator out of the COVID, ARPA.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that question. Yeah, we're still planning on trying to get a new generator, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have bids on that, or
Pardon?
do we ever have bids?
Well, I did, that's, that 2 years old now? Yes, I did. I think was right around 200.
Yeah, didn't we have to go back since we're above a certain number and we have to have it engineered or?
Yes.
Right, exactly.
So was there some of that?
And that would have,
400,000 and stuff?
I think with that engineer, I think it was gonna be like 230, 240, we were guessing what an engineer would cost. Because they usually take a certain percentage. So, okay. Weed work. Went with the mills to the increase in mills, so I just penciled in stuff that equaled the 3 mills that we would get. Board salaries, just bumped that up 1,000. Fixed charges 500, travel's the same, equipment the same, utilities the same. I did put supplies up 1,000. Labor and unemployment, raised that 1,500, chemicals, roughly 1,500, yeah. So. Any questions?
Okay, questions for Roger?
Did you want to mention what we talked about for the building
The
or
caulking?
outside?
The caulking?
Well, either that or the repainting of,
Oh. Well, I think we get the phone system first.
Yeah,
And
but
it
that's
sounds
not
like
gonna
that
take
might be
300,000.
quite a bit less. Yeah, we don't really see any leaking much unless we have a hard driving rain from one side or the other, and then we'll get a little comes in. It's been at least 15 years since, we've had the building caulked. It probably wouldn't hurt to get that redone. And if we wanna think about painting the panels, the outside blue panels, cosmetic job, I don't know. Personally, I'd rather see us somehow clean out all these vents, but I talked with Jeff about that, and years back, I asked Steam Brothers, and they came and looked, and they said they didn't want anything to do with it, so.
Well, to me, that would be really something that would be what that original COVID ARPA dollars was meant to do,
Yeah.
was enhancements of health for your building and employees and the public.
And that would almost have to be done after hours of the weekend, because if somebody is able to get in and put some sort of brushes in here and the vents, yeah, I know the stuff is gonna come out, it's not gonna be pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's been 60 years of
60.
use. 60.
Yeah.
Who did you try, Roger?
Steam Brothers, years ago,
And that was a long time ago.
yeah.
What about the maintenance people, yellow vans, what's that name?
Service master.
Service master.
Yeah.
Try again?
That would probably be, well, the only local company that might think about it. I can certainly talk to them,
And if they don't do it, maybe they'll point you in the right direction as
Right.
to somebody that
Right.
would do it.
somebody else who does.
Cause that's kind of
something like
it's
that.
kind of a specialty thing.
Yeah.
It's not something everybody does.
Yeah, because for each thermostat, there's like a mixing box out in the ceiling above in the hallway above the ceiling. And there is a main line that comes in, and then it branches off, like
Yeah.
going this way, so it's gonna be, difficult, to say the least.
It's like what Jeff said, that's what we should use that COVID money for, some of that,
Yeah,
not for buying a vehicle. I don't think we should.
yeah, I'd like to see
I
it
think we
done.
should clean them up. We'll take buying vehicles on in general, I think. Pardon me?
Out of the general fund?
I think so. But these things should be clean, like you said.
I think it would be beneficial. And you're right, it's gonna have to be a weekend
Mhm.
thing, because when I was at UND, when I was an undergrad at Hislop, they did that and it was a disaster. And they did it on a weekend, but man, it was a disaster when we came back.
Dirt,
Oh, God.
all
Yeah,
over.
there's a,
Well, they probably hadn't cleaned the vents in that place, and it was built in 1920 or whatever, so they probably hadn't cleaned the vents in 80 years or whatever, and it was.
Yeah, you'd have.
But it was way fresher after they were done, so
Yeah.
it was beneficial.
Every vent, when they're on that line, should have something over it or try and catch.
Catch
There's
it all,
gonna be
because there's
something
gonna be
around.
dust and
Oh,
dirt and garbage and you wouldn't even imagine.
So how much do you think it's gonna be, Roger?
that's a really good question.
You want somebody that's done it before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know,
but,
I think you should look at, if nothing here local, look Grand Forks or.
yeah,
Many
Yeah.
buildings they have down there, they must have somebody that does that.
yeah.
But I think would be a great idea.
Mhm.
Something to look into, that's for sure. I agree. Okay, further questions for Roger? Have the panels on the outside of the building ever been painted?
No, I doubt it.
so,
One of those things, if you paint them once, you'll be painting them every 5
Yeah, that's
years.
probably about it, that's a big dot.
That was my question too, because they're faded now, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but once you paint them.
Then that'd be a
fade,
never
fade,
ending
fade,
process.
fade. Yeah.
And
You're
then
probably
we're
better off
for
sticking with the
60
teal.
more years.
Yeah, I think cleaning the vents would be a much better idea.
I do too.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of the teal paint out there, but
No,
at the same point, if it's gonna be every 5 years, you're gonna have to sink a bunch of money into painting it,
Yeah.
that's not a very beneficial use of the dollars, so.
How about like the touchless stuff for the bathrooms? You ever
The
think
what?
of that?
You don't like teal?
Touchless sink, you
Oh,
know,
I
so-
definitely-
you ever think about stuff like that, since you
Yeah,
have this money?
somebody mentioned something about that too. honestly, in a lot of those touchless bathroom things, I can't ever get the water to come out.
What I kind of have the same thing with, as Roger is, with those touchless faucets, and they never get warm.
That too.
Because
Well,
you turn, they're only on for 10 seconds that you have your hands under there. So you're never washing with warm water. I think the touchless soap dispenser or paper towel dispenser would be beneficial. And then some of the other issues that we have on the upper floors of accessibility issues in our bathrooms would be something that we should take a look at. But I think some of those touchless things that the COVID dollars were
Meant to be.
initially meant to
Yeah.
be for,
Yeah.
we could certainly take some of those things into consideration, and, a water bottle filler would be wonderful. And they have counters on them, and I was at the Holiday Inn in Fargo last week, and they had a water filler in their lobby that had over 177,000 plastic bottles that it replaced by filling up water bottles in their one filler in their lobby, yeah.
So they just replace water fountains that you already have, because there's water fountains in here.
Right.
I think that's, I'll be honest with you, I think that's a great thing. We have noticed where I work in, it gets used a lot more now than it ever did.
With a bottle filler. I talked to the maintenance guy out at the college when we were in the process of getting new water fountains here. And they got water bottle fillers, and he told me he wished they never would have. He said there are some filters in there that are horrendously expensive, and they changing them all the time. And he said the fountain, it costs like nearly twice as much to start with too.
But that's part of that ARPA money that was meant to have touchless type of environments for people to not touch surfaces.
But the
And then you just,
fillers aren't touchless, are they, the water bottle fillers?
yeah,
Oh, they are.
It's a sense.
So I think it all depends on which ones you get,
uh,
because the ones that we have in our building, there's no filters. It's just like a water fountain,
Oh,
just like a normal water fountain, and it's just.
Yeah, you'd have to do the research to make sure you bought ones that wouldn't add additional
I'll
cost.
say
which
probably
I
went
think is
above and
reasonable.
beyond and got one with filters, but I don't think you'd have to have filter when you got, imagine city water coming in here,
Well, yeah.
Why would you need filters on it? I think the research, the research is there, 'cause I know ours don't have filters. No. And the water fountain doesn't have a filter now.
no,
doesn't it?
no.
You don't need filters anyway, you need that iron and all that good stuff in there, it's good for you.
But I just think the touchless part of it for a water bottle would be good,
No.
Well, and that's where the ARPA funds, we got $2.2 million, and the thought process was to use at least half of it for county needs. Well, we can put together a wish list of all the things we'd like to get done and see if we can fit it into 1.1, and if we can't, then we'll just chunk off a little bit more from the other side if we have to, and or we can use some of the other COVID dollars, and we'll just have to kind of figure out how to make it work.
I like the idea that you're upgrading too. You're upgrading the facility that you have.
And not looking by building a new one?
Yeah. I don't think that's ever good.
No,
Well, and
we have
upkeep and maintenance on a 60-year-old building every year is just gonna get more and more expensive.
we have
I
a
mean,
beautiful building,
Yeah.
Roger does a
And well cared
fantastic
for.
job keeping it up. And every once in a while, we need to put a little extra in that budget to make sure that the enhancements that we need is
Speaking of that,
kept
you
up, so.
got quite a bit of kudos last night at our meeting of how clean this courthouse is compared to a lot of others
Who?
from the health department.
Oh,
No, we have a wonderful facility and it reflects directly upon the staff that maintains it, so thank you for all that you do.
nice.
Do you wanna discuss the other request? Lighting?
There's more requests?
Outdoor
Outdoor
lighting,
lighting.
security lighting, you know, I think that's an easy fix to make, and you know where that, you know, whether it be the back parking lot when we have staff that come in after hours, or, late at night, or, you know, unfortunately, North Dakota, where our sun sets at 4:30 in December, so, for about a month and a half, we're working and coming to work in the dark and then leaving in the dark as well, so.
That's an upgrade, there's no reason we couldn't do that.
Make sure we talk to Otter Tail.
No.
From them.
Get some help from Otter Tail.
Security.
We've got the lighting down there, I should just get a different switch so the volleyball people don't constantly shut that light off on the north side of the memorial building.
Yeah.
And there's a, light coming in the back door there,
Yeah.
we got one over here, motion detector light. So,
How are the parking lots? Are they, I guess I never paid attention that closely.
the only place, probably right this area a little
Yeah,
bit,
that's-
but I mean,
That's the city's portion,
like-
is this part out here, correct?
This is the county.
That's counties and that's cities.
Cities
That's
is
right.
on the
Yeah, I
other
got
end.
backwards. That's right, because we paved our part, they didn't pave their
Yeah.
part.
The other side of the sheriff's house, I mean, the street lights over there, you're pretty good there. And like I said, with this, and then they've got a light that comes on in the sheriff's house, here and there, I mean, that helps to light this area up too. So, I mean, the parking lot, you know, it certainly isn't so dark. Like I said, the only thing I should try to do is get a different switch there so the volleyball people can't constantly shut that light off,
Well,
which
yeah.
they seem to love to do.
What about a motion light to put on like the, because there's already power on the generator building? Like just to put a light so it shines on those cars?
All those cars there,
Mm-hmm.
I suppose they could do it, yeah.
The fleet vehicles that.
Yep.
the social-
Especially if something comes on.
Well, I can understand that, yeah, because I mean, social services, they have people come in late at night or leave early, you know, when they've got, they gotta go get a kid or something, they have a little bit more lighting for where the
Or
vehicle
even
sits.
just another light like we have on the memorial building, sticking one of them on the side of the
Yeah,
generator
yeah,
here.
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would definitely help.
especially if you put motion sensors on them and things like that, because that way they're not burning all night and wasting a bunch of electricity, they're only being used when they're needed.
Like I said, let's talk to Otter Tail first.
Yeah, they might help us out with some
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, we should maybe check with the city too to see if there's any light bulbs in their, lights in their portion of the parking lot.
In their parking lot.
Yeah, maybe we should
Or
see if they'll do
light
something.
bulb enhancements, whether they be upgraded to an LED or something, a little brighter.
Sometimes that's all it needs.
Is there any way, Roger, that in the hallways we could have motion lights? You know, like especially winter time, it's like we leave out, some people come off the elevator, it's dark. I'm guilty of leaving the lights on in the hallway when I leave at night. I'll be the one, I
Well,
do it.
maybe we'll just have to leave the lights on in the hallway at night.
Okay, I mean,
That's an easy fix, and I
Okay.
don't know if it would,
cause I feel like if you're coming from third floor, it's
um,
pretty dark.
you know, and it's unfortunate that they're all on one switch. You know, if you could have just one center light on, that would be enough light to, you know, to take people out of the shadows or whatever to be on.
Well, the lobby lights here, you know, they're separate,
They're
Oh,
all
yeah,
separate.
they're separate.
so whether you have, and then of course down the main line,
Yeah.
there's two, you know, it's separate there too. I mean, it isn't all one switch, there's two
But if
separate.
they're, I'm not saying that,
I can speak to you guys.
you know, 50% of them are on with one switch on, but you could just have one light on
Oh,
right in the
yeah,
center,
I see what you're saying.
you know, or one in the center, one on each end, and that would suffice to be,
I flip them on when I leave because it's really
Yeah.
dark, it's,
you know,
By the time you walk in or something.
or someone.
but they're just little things to make people feel more secure and
Yeah.
safe, and, you know, working after hours or at night, or in the wintertime.
Yeah, again, those are all things we can, you know, we got 300,000
Yeah.
budgeted, we got some of the ARPA money, so if we wanna do some of those things, I think we
Yeah.
can figure out how to
Yeah, we'll make it work and make it.
make kind of a wish list and see what we can fit in.
Right.
Maybe it's a 2-year deal or whatever, make a wish list and hopefully we can get it all put done.
Yeah.
Okay, further questions for Roger? Seeing none, thank you.
Great job, thank you, Roger.
Thanks, Roger.
Roger.
See you tomorrow.
Was he gonna
He's
be
coming
back?
back.
Jerry back tomorrow.
I have something for you to
Hey.
sign, Roger.
Brad, you're up. Welcome.
I moved to the middle so that you can equally see me. You all were provided with the one-page year-to-year 2022 and 23 budget, right? Yeah. Pardon me? And then some of the highlights of the 21 and 22, do you have that document as well?
Yep.
I'm not gonna read through it, you know? We've had a lot of discussion, Adams, you know, as a member of the board. We've talked a lot about, you know, our priorities. Really, probably more so in the last 6 months, would you agree, Adam? You know, when I first got here, primary sector, let's get the building filled, the Kojak, that type of thing. You know, when you run out of building space, you don't have the workforce like somebody has, that it gets harder to do the primary sector, so we kind of pivoted a little bit. We started working on childcare. I don't know if you guys know this, I was doing some digging the other day. Childcare, we're probably the best in the state, other than a couple of the bigger cities, Fargo, for percentage of kids that have got childcare available. And yet-
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we're at 60%. There's some counties that are in their 20s, 30s, I mean, in bigger counties. So, you know, it was a, wouldn't you say, we talked about it a lot, and we've had the right people step up, you know, you got Margie Brzezinski, and you've had a few others, but we've worked on that. But we're continuing to work on that. We're trying to do things more on that. If you're a child care center director and you're trying to get workers, it's tough. Boy, I mean, Margie is gonna open, and you know what I'm talking about, the, help me out, Adam, what is the racket called?
Old Southgate building.
Yeah, the old Southgate, okay, Blake Brzezinski and Margie Green, both locals come back, right? They would like to have 70, 80, but she's got enough workers right now for 40. So she's trying her damnedest to get that extra 2 or 3 workers so they can get to that full number. And their cash flow is at that full number, so it's important.
Sure it is.
You know, I mean, but at the end of the day, you know, she doesn't have health care. I mean, and to provide health care is just amazing, you know, for that type of business as well. But anyway, priorities have been workforce, childcare, primary sector is still there, downtown revitalization with some of the downtown stuff we've done, we put some dollars there. Without our Bank of North Dakota, Adam will concur, without the Bank of North Dakota Flex Pace and Pace program where we do interest buy downs, I don't know if I'd take this job again. I mean, that program in itself gives us that capacity to do it. Especially in the early couple of years when I was here, when we really didn't have any growth fund dollars because of the ultra green, you know, fiasco and everything there. We're building that up, that fund up, you know, we're at $500,000-600,000 now, and that's growing. When I got here, it was in the 200s, and, you know, we have obligations out of that we gotta continually pay. So if you look through some of the highlights, I'll just go through them. Our workforce recruitment and retention program, the 2020 program. You know, I've talked to you, Commissioner Brown, I know one time you mentioned you didn't really know a lot about it. In a nutshell, we take $6,000 of the city's money and county money, but mostly through our growth fund. And the state doubles it, that's $12,000, that's a scholarship or loan repayment for somebody that agrees to come back here and work or stay here and work. And man, I'm talking about it every day to kids that I'm trying to align them with businesses locally versus losing them. You know, they might go to school, but let's get them back. That program's been a good one and will continue to be. We're known as the leader in the state for that type of program and using the Career Builder program, which is a state program. We've done some things with pilot career things, the career awareness part there, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that down the road. The additional 55 child care center slots and 8 infant slots. You know, infants are the key kind of for growth. You know, you need infant slots, so those are there. I won't read all of them, but as you go through them, you see kind of what happened in 21 and 22. But once again, without that B&D interest buy down, you know, we can't give $2 million to every business that wants to come to town. We've got a couple potentials right now, and we floated a small amount of money, and then Bank of North Dakota amount as an incentive for them to come to us. One of them we're still in the running, so is Grafton. Another one, I don't really have finalists on it, it's another company that, it's not blockchain, it's not Bitcoin. If you're the governor, he wants every Bitcoin data center in the country, and I don't necessarily agree with that. It's got a lot of workers and it's a lot of power usage. But this company wants to make the facilities that go into a center, so it's more of manufacturing versus the actual Bitcoin company itself. So that would be an interesting situation if we could get that. It's a company out of Canada that it's just too expensive for them to operate as a Canadian company in the US. They want a US operations or US life site. So those are some of the things as you read some of the highlights. When you come down to the bottom, I wanted to give you a little update too. There's so much ARPA dollars, you guys know that, you've been dealing with it. I'm on the committee with Adam for the county ones. We've got $1 million of workforce dollars that are available, and there's a regional program out of the Department of Commerce. They took $15 million of federal money and they're giving $1 million to our region, Region 3. It's the North Central Planning Region. Other regions get more. We've got a couple of things that we're going to talk about. We're going to take $400,000 to $600,000 to increase childcare slots, so we're going to even get better throughout that region. And right now, it looks like about 4 of the 6 projects are going to be Ramsey County. Eddy County and some of the others just didn't have centers where they could put the money, so it looks real good for that. And then we're going to do something that, I don't know, Mr. Volk, how do you get to kids, get them to think about the careers that are available in our counties? How do you go to New Rockford, and Eddy, or Ramsey if we go to Starkweather, that type of county? How do you get to them? So we came up with this idea of a career exploration lab. President Darling says, wow, you're back to the old bookmobile days. Remember when the big bookmobiles were around? That's what this will be. This is going to be a mobile van. It's going to be logoed with business logos. It's going to be more excitement and marketing about the careers that are available in Ramsey County and our other 5 counties in our region, Region 3. And the idea is to go to the student rather than hope the student gets counseled correctly, and learns about companies in our area. So imagine getting the Summers Manufacturing HR going to some of the outlying towns within our region.
Good idea.
Even further than our region. You realize our workshed is big. I mean, you guys all know people that drive 60 miles to Devils Lake to work. I know people that live in Devils Lake that drive to Grafton to work. I mean, so at the end of the day, this is an idea that we're going to try. We're spending a lot of money to do this van. There's a company in Moorhead called Vans that's going to convert it. But that van is going to have 3 screens in it. We're going to have virtual reality experiences of the jobs that are available. We're trying to get the, not that entry-level worker as much as the skilled worker and that, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year type worker that would come back. So that's where that stands. Those are all things that are kind of in the hopper. Adam knows I got myself involved with the economic developers of North Dakota. I'm vice president this year and I'm president next year for the state. And it's going to require some time abroad, but abroad being outside of, not outside the U.S., outside of Devils Lake. But it's been a good organization. It's really helped get us closer to the Department of Commerce as an area. But when you look at the budget, just real briefly, it's pretty much the same budget that it's been in the time I've been here. It's raised. I'm the biggest expense in the form of salaries and benefits. One good news is yours truly turned 65 in January, so I go to Medicare, and it's just been bugging the heck out of me to send an $8,000 quarterly check in for our insurance, for me, basically, family, my wife and I. It's tremendously expensive, so those will be reduced and will be a redone budget next year. I don't have actuals finalized yet either with the city's issues. Liz and Linda having a staff of about 2 or 3 brand new people. I mean, you guys, I know you know how that affects an organization, so she did most of our financials as well as any of the other, groups as well. But I do have the dollars there for 22 to 23. Any questions at all?
Brad, I know,
Yeah.
Is there any, when you're out, promoting the community, promoting the region, and are there roadblocks specific to why companies are saying no to Devil's Lake? And is there something that we as a county can do to help alleviate some of those roadblocks?
Double our population. Yeah, unfortunately,
But-
that's the first thing that most.
You know, other than childcare and those things that we talk about and workforce and housing and things, are there other things that come up in your day-to-day discussions with companies? You know, one of the things that comes up in my discussions with my profession is the fluctuation of lake levels. And does that have any impact on people moving in, moving out, not willing to plant their roots,
Yeah,
you know,
no, it's been people,
okay,
it's just been that proximity
sure,
or lack of proximity to a larger pool of people.
sure,
Without an airport, I don't know if I'd do this job, so that is a big time plus for us. I just saw a company call yesterday, and they're in Saskatchewan. Did I say that right? Saskatoon, right? Between Regina and Edmonton.
yeah,
And, you know, you look at the map and see where they're at, how they gotta get here. The airport doesn't help a lot because they have like one flight to Denver and then, you know, catching it's late, so it's still a 24-hour thing. Companies of the size that we wanna get are that smaller size, it's not gonna steal from everybody else, that 18,
Sure.
15 to 30 would be ideal.
yeah,
The two that I've looked at, one's out of Minneapolis, the other's in Saskatoon. The airport's important for the Minneapolis one to get here, to be able to come in and out, because it could be a branch location or you know, a secondary type location, which it was in that case.
yeah.
But then the problem is just we're a little too close to Canada. I mean, I think they'd rather be in Omaha or a Sioux Falls, you know, a little bit farther away.
Sure.
They wanna be in a rural community, but then it comes back to, you know, some of those issues.
Yeah.
Financially wise, I mean, look at Grand Forks. Grand Forks, you know, they've got a lot of riches over there and they're fighting. Have you seen the plan?
Yeah.
There's a pretty big reason they're fighting.
Yeah, you know, it's China, Commissioner, that's true, but,
I don't wanna get into that.
yeah, I know. But at the same
Too
time,
bad it's over there.
it's also 150 workers, 300 workers, the construction, multiple big time dollars, and it's a 50-50 scenario for them as a community, so.
Yeah, it's tough that one.
The good news is workforces that we have and the strengths that we have with campcraft in the lake region, excellent positives, the airport's the third positive, and then childcare and some of the other things that we've talked about. And the fact that we have a growth fund that is growing, that we can, you know, take some dollars and do.
I do think that we underestimate the importance of campcrafting.
Oh, big,
You know,
yeah.
tremendous, you know, over 200 full-time employees out there, with their, you know, with their families and here living in the community, contributing to it and contributing economically.
And many of them wanting to stay here
And wanting to
afterwards.
stay.
So their workforce and the retirements that they have,
Yeah.
contributing workforce, that's one of the selling points of the materials that I use.
And we'll continue to work on that airport and make sure that we have essential air service continued operations.
Gotta have it, gotta
Gotta
have
have
it.
it.
I mean, I can't stress that
So,
enough.
so vitally important, yeah, so 100% agree with that, so,
I like your show and tell story. I mean, that's gonna work.
Ah,
yeah,
It is, it really is.
my butt's on the line, cause I've kind of pushed for it of the 6 counties.
It's
You
gonna
know,
work.
think of the counties that we have, we've got Towner, we've got Eddy, we've got Benson, we've got Ramsey, and what am I missing? Well, that's our region. It's, you know, our city is the size,
I
the
think
large
it's a
one.
great idea.
Yeah,
Take the show to the kids, yeah.
we'll see.
Do you think we've taken a hit on the expensive housing we have?
I think that's hurt us some, but you know, we do have lower cost housing. When you look at the communities around, I've talked to 2 or 3 families that have moved here that are living in communities in the outskirts areas, and driving 15, 20 miles and loving it, that isn't that big of a deal, coming from an in-law or whatever, so we've gotta look more at that too. We're Ramsey County, but our work shed is bigger too.
We
There's
could
other
use
counties.
rental housing.
Huh?
We could use more rental
God,
housing.
we're already at about 55%, you know, it's amazing what rental to ownership, we've got a higher rental than ownership, really, it's real close to that.
So with interest rates come up, do you think it's gonna go the other way? Usually it does.
Yeah,
It follows.
yeah, over time,
Yeah.
a lot of contributors.
Something else we'll have to look
Yeah.
at in the future, right?
I shouldn't have taken this much time, I kind of use this as an update as well, I apologize.
Rain
for that.
outside.
I got others, but.
No, it's an interesting question about housing though, because you talk about overall housing availability, but then you also talk about housing stock and age. And yeah, we have housing, but we have a lot of old housing.
We do.
And we have a lot of old housing that needs redevelopment, well then, how do you redevelop old housing when people don't necessarily have equity in those homes? How do you go get an equity loan? How do you find, I mean, there's a lot of questions that, and it's economic development. It is, it's just a matter of how you get there, so it's, yeah, we have a lot of quality of life we talk about quality of life, we talk about workforce development constantly, because when we try to attract businesses, that's what they ask. Schools, healthcare, quality of life,
Transportation, as in
Transportation.
in and out.
yep, in and out, it's, yeah,
I'm a
it's,
good
it's
example of
a
that,
holistic
my
thing.
kids understand what it means to fly into Devil's Lake.
The only
Versus
reason I asked
fire.
about the housing is because that's, when we bring someone on, that's their hardest one.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
housing is the hardest.
The
one.
hospital,
building those
the whole
areas
new
is
hospital situation, our healthcare situation, we didn't talk about that, but that is a big part of it, quality of life as well. Yeah, as that gets settled and we get a resolution out of it, the city, we're on hold right now, we've got 50-some lots that could be given away and incentivized to move to. And we're kind of waiting a little bit for the housing, for the healthcare situation to see. 5, 6 of them are real close to that area up there, Walmart and the land that's been optioned by Essentia. Okay, anything else?
I wanna cut you off, but we gotta get back.
Yes, I apologize.
Oh, you're fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry, Lisa.
Lisa's up next.
Come up there. I apologize, I don't have my printout because I ran to Fargo this morning and gave my daughter the keys and she still owes them, so I went to print them out and I'm like, oh, I guess so. But it's all very much the same except for Candy helped me out with the mill levy, which I appreciate very much. So basically, we don't have a lot of changes other than, you know, I don't, like Brad said, I liked how he let off, I'm the biggest amount, the salary for me, in the budget, however, without any healthcare or anything, it's less than what probably would have to pay if someone needed healthcare. And then every cost, because of just cost of living, will go higher this year. We, you know, it's always the topic, is the roof, and it will be again this year. It's just, until it gets, and you know, last year I wanted to replace the whole thing, and I still would love to replace the whole thing, but that's just not gonna happen. So sealing the copper, it seems to be very viable and a good solution for that. And then replacing the rubber around, much cheaper, clearly, because you don't have to worry about the whole architecture of the building. And if the copper is still okay and sealing it, then why go through ripping the whole roof apart? Anyway, that is not in the budget. There is a portion of the budget that says roof repair, and that is just a quick fix, and it's really needed. It is a gentleman that we talked to that will go in and he'll patch some of the roof, reseal in the inside, because roofers won't go into the roof. They'll patch everything on the roof, but they won't go like into our attic, which you have to do to repair that roof. So he'll seal in there, he'll fix one of the drains,
and he'll create kind of a safety catch, so that if it does start breaching again, the water starts coming in, we'll know. Right now, we won't know until, sorry, until it's coming in the courtroom, and it is. And I have the courtroom, I'm not moving those tarps, I'm not moving those baby pools until it's safe, because it'll just continue to wreck everything, so,
So you have baby pools in there collecting water?
yes.
What does total roof repair cost?
Well, it depends, the total roof repair, they were talking about $200,000.
Okay, so you're
Or more, that was last year.
that's if you deal with the architecture, all of those things.
Probably double
The
that.
one that you're talking about, when we try to reuse the copper, redo the rubber, what kind of cost do we think we're looking at there?
100. Because drains are involved and, I'm not positive on that amount. I am going to be, doing an ARPA application, it doesn't, that is my, you'll see those numbers.
Well,
You haven't gotten quotes from anybody?
No, I'm
Is there
really having
anybody in town that will look at it?
Tecta will,
Okay.
and, A&R, I'm gonna give them another, we have, I have a bill on our desk that Tecta still wants us to pay, and it's still raining inside, so I'm holding that aside. So, I'm looking at all options, and some people don't even call back. I'm sure they think of our building and they go, hell no, I don't wanna deal with that thing. But I will have a bid or two for the
Good.
ARPA application.
I'm not saying that we're gonna fund it, but
No, I know,
we've
yeah.
been dealing with this for as long as I've been on the commission, and that's like a landmark building in downtown, for the love of God. If we can't find a way to fund it, I don't know what we do. I mean.
Well, and without the roof,
let's find, yeah,
We
without a
have-
roof, you don't have a building
Yeah,
anymore,
right.
so
yeah, and
we
the
gotta find a way to
steps,
get it done.
the roof needs to be done 100%, but that's, what you're seeing on this budget
Yeah.
is just a fix to get us through.
Well, and at the end of the day, the Heritage Center on the budget, on $100,000 expense even, it's untenable, so we have to find a way to get creative, whether it's through the ARPA funds, or you'd have to have one hell of a bake sale,
Yeah,
something of that nature, but we gotta find a way.
we just have to, and it's,
When the state was looking at their, wasn't a special session to divvy out the state's portion of ARPA monies, and did Senator Elke ask for a request for, was it 70,000?
I think 83,
83?
I could be wrong, but yes, he did.
Who made the request, Jeff?
Senator Elke.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't get funded,
And
but
it was denied, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
even,
everybody else got money.
Right,
We did.
yeah. But,
yeah,
yeah, please get a request
Oh,
in.
I will
I
for
think that's
sure.
something we need to take care of.
Well, there aren't many towns our size in this country that have an old federal courthouse building.
Yeah, and it's, and
It's
it is
a
in
beautiful building.
very, very good shape. When you guys talk about Roger and those floors, I would love those floors. They do a fabulous job with upkeep with this building.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, it just needs to be done. It's a thorn in my side every day, but I do my best to keep it as safe as I possibly can, so.
Yeah.
And you do, that looks good in there.
I try.
You do a good job.
You do.
And good job on the art fest.
Yes, thank you. That's where I was
Great
going to
job.
Fargo, returning about
Great job.
$45,000 worth of art in the back of my vehicle. I couldn't get there fast enough. Just get it out.
Great job.
Thank you. It's fun, and it's not a moneymaker, I think we'll probably get about $2,000 out of that. But it's for the community, and it's really to say, hey, we're open, come in our building. This isn't just a big building on the corner, we're here, so come in. And a ton of people.
Unfortunately, for some reason, a lot of the things that make a community great, that are quality of life type of things, don't make money. But we
No,
just, as a community, have to make a decision, we're gonna invest in them, because we wanna make it a place that people wanna come and wanna live.
yep,
And we also talked about the stairs,
those stairs, yes. So
those stairs.
The stairs is, yeah, because they're, you guys have
The
it,
steps.
yeah, the steps in the front. So those steps, you know, they can't be mud jacked, no way, shape or form. What they are, what's supporting those steps are like pillars of, bricks, and it's the mortar between the bricks that's giving way. So that's why they're kind of going, wonky. They're not gonna fall in or anything, but they don't look good and they need to be stable. So the last quote for that was a long time ago, and that was like $30,000. And I would guess if it was the same historical company, it would be triple that. But I have talked to the city with some of their engineers, and they're like, there is no reason why we couldn't help you guys with that. Just looking at them, they've looked underneath, they're like, you pull them off, you re-stabilize them, and you put them back on. So that is something that I think we can do much less costly if we work with the city. And, you know, obviously there's labor involved and there's machinery rental, but I'm hoping that that can be something that can be done on that level instead of, you know, getting people in and, but. So, but I will, you know, I can look at, I just wanna get that roof done. I'm sorry, I'm super focused on that roof.
That's a good place to focus.
Yeah.
Great, further questions for Lisa?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you, appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys.
Okay, District 12, Alan.
Howdy. I have Ashley Peterson here with me, who is gonna take over my position here October 1st. So I've got her along with me. She helped with the budget and is learning everything that has to go on in Lake Region District Health. So yeah, it's a good process. Our budget compared to last year, for Ramsey County, it came out to about $285,326. Last year was $266,990. So there's a little bit of an increase there this year, but not too bad. We're according to 21 land value, we'll be sitting about 4.3 mils. I'm sure that'll change a little bit when 22 comes in, but probably go down a little bit. But that's where we're sitting right there. I know you got the budget in front of you. Is there any part of it that you have questions on?
What were we at for mills last year, Ken? Or Alan, do you know off the top of your head?
Oh boy, the mills last year was 4 point, can't remember.
So it's pretty similar.
4.1 or something, right close, yeah, it wasn't much different.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying, so we still have that 21, we still have that 21 mil value in there, so once we get the 22 mil on there, then it'll probably be somewhat, pretty close to stable then, okay.
Last time looking at it, it was really close to last
Yeah.
year.
Right, yeah,
Really.
so,
Okay, good.
so that's.
I know.
Don't complain about rain outside.
So, and the board did give the staff a cost of living increase, the same as Ramsey, 4%. You know, with the cost of living going up. Basically, the reasoning behind that would be to retain our employees. That's the big reason. We finally got up where, with that market study we done twice, we've got our employees, so they're kind of in the middle of the pack in the state, where we were on the bottom before, so we're doing pretty good there. We just like to maintain our staff, because it's very difficult to find good staff. We were very excellent, got very lucky with Ashley here. She's got 12 years of experience coming in public health and the service, so we were very lucky to get her. So, but if there's any individual, whether it's expenses or revenue, I'd be glad to state them. And then, if not, we need to decide when the last meeting is. I had it set for October 4th, when everybody's going to be in Bismarck, I found out. So we have to reset that, and all the other 3 counties can make it on the last, or I mean the 3rd Tuesday in September, which is the 20th, I believe. But you guys go at 5 o'clock, so you'd have to come in at 8, or, you know, instead in the morning. Would that work for you guys?
What day is it, September?
September 20th.
It'd be really great if we could do it from Al can retire. Not that I don't wanna see it, but I understand.
It's all by phone as well, so.
Yes, it's all by
So
phone.
if somebody has a conflict, I mean, they can always hop on, themselves if they have to, so. Yeah, I think that'll work.
Just put your board meeting from 5:30 to 8.
We could try to do that as well. If it's, yeah, we could make that one change, that's a good,
Right in, work right in.
yeah, just have it as part of the, yeah, we can just move 5:30 to 8, just for that day, that'd be okay.
Yeah. That's what Eddie had to do, they called that special meeting, because they only have, they're down to one meeting a month, that's it. So they called a special for the 20th, so, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be reasonable. Yeah, I think that'll work just fine.
Well, thank you, appreciate it, appreciate it very much.
Any questions for Rob?
Your hearings this morning go good with the other counties?
Pretty good, 10, 15 minutes at Benson, and about a half an hour plus at Pierce. They always have a lot of questions, Pierce County, but they went good, they were all positive. So we have one more in Eddy County on next week. So they're all looking very good. So.
Great,
Welcome.
and Ashley,
Yes,
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Alright.
Well, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
We'll see you on the 20th.
All right,
All right,
Yeah, thank
very
you.
good, thanks.
8:30, right?
Correct.
oh,
Thank you. Okay,
Well, we'll start at 8.
we'll start at 8, yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll make a note that
Yep.
we're gonna make a meeting change so we can
Yep,
make promotions as such. And we're gonna do- Okay, Rob, you're up.
Good evening.
Evening.
So, I know you guys are crunched for time a little bit, so I'm not gonna go detail by detail, through our budgets. I guess what I'll start with on the LEC side is just kind of showing, 911 isn't gonna change too terribly much. And actually your projections for 911 will have gone up a little bit, but that's because you've seen an increase in your usage of 911 compared to the other counties, in the city of Douglas Lake. Let me see. So on the 911 side, what you really want to focus on when you're looking at our budgets, like on the 911 side, is the joint powers revenue. That is what our actual projected shortfall is for 911. 911 stays pretty static, it doesn't change much. We have about a $35,000 increase in our projected shortfall from what we had for 22 to what we're projected for 23, which comes out to just less than 6%. And part of that is due to some of the things that we're looking to do, but it's pretty minimal. On the LEC side is the big one. And the big issue that we have on the LEC side is when you look at the projected contract revenues. We've reduced our projections for contract revenues for 23 by $375,000 from what we projected for 22. When you compound that with our labor cost increase of about $150,000, our overall projection for our cost share formula or our projected shortfall is about $484,000, more than what we had projected for 22. And Ramsey County's portion of it continues to escalate and will continue to escalate, I fear, just based on the way that the criminal justice system is working these days. The city of Devils Lake, the vast majority of the arrests that they make are all getting bumped up in the district court. Actually, when looking at the cost share formulas for the law enforcement center side, Ramsey County's increased by 2.96% over what it was for 2022. And that's just because of the share of incarcerations keep climbing. So essentially right now what I'm looking at is tomorrow morning is our board meeting. Our budget isn't approved or anything. I'm looking for guidance or direction, or for you to give guidance or direction to your representatives to come to our board with some of the changes that maybe you wanna see, or if there's a goal that you would like us to try and achieve, specific to the budgets, so that we can see what we can do to try and make that happen.
So Rob, on the contract, costs, the reduction in those. Now, it's been about a year since we've been in that non-compliance, DOCR, so we didn't have, contracts for 2022, did we?
So we did our budget so early in 21 for 22, that all that happened after that. And that's part of the issue where we get our budgets going so early, that when something like that happens, it's hard to adjust it.
So the LEC cost share portion for Ramsey County up $460,000.
Yeah, well, let me look here real quick just to verify.
So it goes from 462 to 802 on the LEC cost share.
Yeah, 462 to 802, yeah.
Not quite at 400.
Yeah, 340.
340.
We're looking at a $426,000 increase on the projection from last year on actual budgeted. I appreciate the charts in here because it's kinda interesting to look at what the split's doing and how we've gone just in the past 2 years from, what, 59% to 60, almost 66%. So I mean, it's telling you that basically we're just increasing the burden here. I mean, I don't think, we all knew that. Anecdotally, just looking at it, but it's nice seeing actual percentages on how the operation is running.
And big portion of ours is obviously incarceration. We can put out to the public, stop breaking the law. You know, so, but that doesn't seem to work. So, one of those necessary things that we need to continue doing.
Is there any way the sheriff and Bo can convince people to break the law someplace else?
I know this isn't my time, but I guess I don't see any way around it, because Devils Lake is the hub, and people come from all the outlying counties to do business here, and I'd rather catch them and deal with them than
Yep, they'd have them on the streets.
sweep it under the rug. I don't believe in that, so.
No, I agree completely. I'm just obviously.
Well, it's just frustrating that it, you know, the costs continue to escalate, and, you know, to know nobody's fault in sitting in the room here, it's, you know, people breaking the law.
Well, and every employee you have, the cost of labor is higher, the cost of keeping the lights on and the heat on is higher, medical costs are higher, everything goes higher. I mean, I just, and I'm not faulting the LEC, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of, you know, like, in the past 3 years now, we're gonna be up $800,000 under this projection.
Yep.
I mean, we have to keep the community safe, we have to do what we have to do, but that's $800,000 that we could be using to do a roof on something, or upgrade the building, or, you know, I mean, but we have to put it here because this is what has to happen. It's just, it gets frustrating because we have so many things we'd like to do, but when you get down to it, this is what has to be done.
In the past, you know, law enforcement center has, you know, taken a lot of the overburden on taxpayers because they've been able to house contracted prisoners.
Right.
And if you look for 22 budget, just from the federal or US Marshal Service, we're supposed to have $412,000. We're not anywhere near that for 22, and we only have 75,000 projected for 23 for Marshal Service. So the sooner we can get the jail back in the good graces of the DOC, the sooner we can take some of this burden off of the taxpayers in Ramsey County and all the other entities also.
Yeah.
But it's just gonna take time to get COs in place, get COs trained, and have the jail functioning on a good level.
Yeah.
So, hopefully in the short term, it goes well, hopefully in the long term, we turn out a better product to use.
Just out of curiosity, what are we trending on for 22 for incarceration days right now?
Right now, everything's kind of a cluster because of the fact that
Oh,
we're
yeah,
farming so many people out.
yeah.
So I'm gathering and keeping that data, but I haven't had a chance to integrate it in with our actual
No,
numbers.
but I'm just, we went from 13,000 to 13,700 to 16,000 last year, and I'm guessing we're trending in that vicinity now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just gonna
Yeah,
continue this
well,
way.
And when you look at it to where there's been, with the situation we currently got going on operationally, there's been more of an effort to reduce those numbers, but you're still gonna see where they're escalating. So if we're under normal operations, and once we do get back to normal operations, the floodgates are gonna open. I mean, there's a lot of warrants out there that I know the sheriff, people are getting picked up in other counties that are like, well, that's a non-violent level, we're not gonna pick them up. So once we are back to normal operations, all those individuals now are gonna be coming in on those warrants, and so you're gonna see the numbers go up even higher.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
further questions on the LEC portion of the presentation? Okay,
Okay, so switch hats.
switch hats.
We'll run over to SAFE, and I'm glad that Mel's here, because I didn't make the last meeting with SAFE, but annually, we generally come looking to get some contributions from the counties that we serve in the city of Douglas Lake for SAFE. SAFE is highly dependent upon grant funding and donations, and so most of the grants that we do have are reimbursable grants. And so we need to have a cash flow that we can utilize to expend out before we actually get those reimbursable grants that come in. And so that's what we come and that's what the money is primarily used for. With that, I know that Noah probably has some stats for you on the services that they're providing. SAFE, I think, continues to grow and provide an essential service within the communities. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, so in the letter that I sent to you guys, in 2021, we answered 373 crisis calls, provided 139, provided advocacy services to 139 victims of domestic violence, 34 victims of sexual assaults, 17 families stayed in shelter with 447 total bed nights. We did facilitate 16 training events with 653 attendees throughout the year. I did give a little brief on what our current stats were, and that was only through January to June 30th. I just ran the stats from January to July 19th, and we're up to, from the 120 crisis calls, we are now up to 143, so additional 20 in just 15 days for crisis calls. 18 families for shelter, so we've already put 4 families in 15 days for shelter, with a total, with an additional 31 bed nights to add to that total, so 227 bed nights. Provided 78, advocacy to 78 victims of domestic violence, we're up to, which is an additional 14. And 1 additional sexual assault in the last 15 days. So our sexual assaults have really increased, especially since we're working with the FBI more in doing those sexual assault forensic medical exams. The services we still provide, advocacy services, criminal justice, legal advocacy, supervised visitations and exchanges, forensic medical interviews, forensic medical exams, offender treatment program, which we now have a waiting list for, because we can only have up to 15 people in our class at a time, and we're at that now. We have women's offender classes as well, so we have 3 attending that right now. So so I'm, requesting the 16, but if you wanna give me more, I would greatly appreciate it. Any questions?
Questions about safe?
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you do. If we can find more, we'll do more.
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Is there a budget shortfall that you have? Is there more that you could do?
Our federal funding was told to us that we're gonna see almost a 50% cut from that, which then, that is the majority where we get our grant funding. So, yeah, we're gonna have probably a shortfall.
What is the total federal grant funding right now, sort of curiosity?
I would say our total budget's around 625,000, and 75% of that is our federal grants. And I have 22 grants I write. So and I have to have a lot of match money for those grants, so the county donations, the private donations all go towards my match. And, so yeah, and we have been trying to find other ways, to help with our budget. We did just move our business offices over to Dakota Prairie Community Action to help with wraparound services for our clients, which also gives a safety net for the victims, because they can come in and the offender doesn't know why they're coming in now. It could be for getting utility assistance and they would never know. So, SAFE also, well, the Salvation Army contracted with SAFE, so SAFE is providing case management with Salvation Army as well, so.
What was your total budget again?
Around 625,000, yeah.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Seeing none, we got Homeless Coalition, should we knock that out before we start the meeting? The technical part of it? Okay, if it's how it's listed, go ahead.
Okay, so, and real quick, not looking for any money or anything on the Region 3 Homeless Coalition at this time. And I'm glad Mel is here for this as well, because and I'm not sure, because it's been a month, I think, or so, since we've had conversations. But we've been talking with the mission out of Grand Forks. They've been interested in potentially coming and establishing a presence here in Devils Lake. And we've been working with SAFE, through SAFE, to see about having one campus where we could have all the services in one location. Kind of like what she talked about, to where there'd be homeless shelter, potentially domestic violence shelter, soup kitchen, the food pantry, and then other just office space for services for Human Service Center, Dakota Prairie Community Action, Salvation Army, for all these entities to come in to provide services to these individuals. We're looking to partner with them. I know we've had some conversation of whether or not SAFE would be an organization that could take that on. I think when you're seeing the grant funding that's starting to maybe go away a little bit now with I'm not sure where we're going to be on that. But I think, for me, one of the big things on the Region 3 Homeless Coalition is we need more presence. Kind of been dragging this thing along. I tried to resign as the president of the coalition here a few months back, but if I did, then it would just fail, and I don't want to see it just fail. It's a huge need within our region. Some of the things that we're trying to do is we want to establish an actual count, get a count for what our homeless population is, and not just those who are unsheltered, but also our sheltered homeless, because I think a large portion of our homeless population is sheltered. They're just those couch surfers. And to just make sure that all of our organizations are seamlessly transitioning clients from one agency to the next and getting the services and connecting to everyone that they need. Yeah, and it's just a brief update. I don't know if you have anything to add.
So Sue is the director of the mission in Grand Forks. Sue and I have been having meetings. It looks like we are possibly going to be the forerunners in coming in and providing the financial stability of trying to do the capital campaign raising and whatnot for this homeless shelter campus that we're looking at. Our homeless coalition met 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, there was discussion that they were gonna talk to the Amachi board, for the homeless shelter here in town. That didn't happen, we had to reschedule. Otherwise, as he was saying, the hick and pick count, trying to find these couch surfers and all these other people that are homeless. We are working on getting numbers presented for that. So instead of having the count in January in the dead of winter.
Okay, further questions on that? Sounds like there's a need there too. Okay,
All right.
thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
Step out. Don't wanna lose that, don't lose it.
I was trying not to. Just trying not to talk loud.
All right,
I tried to number as many things as possible.
we'll call the meeting to order for a second. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Agenda. And we have amended agenda from the original that went out, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
about 3 times.
Oh, right on the bottom there. Okay, yeah, we got some additional stuff. Okay.
3 times, 4 times,
2, 3, 4.
5 times.
Anything to add to the agenda from the commission?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. And we are up to Paul.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon.
I guess I'm here to further the process. The vote has been done, taken care of for the disillusionment. It passed. I'm a little gray on the century code, but there needs to be some stuff done on your part at this point. We're ready. We have all of our stuff in line out at the city. We're just waiting for the county to move forward with the letter.
Okay.
You know, it has to be out in the paper 4 times. And then you guys have to set a date, an ending date for us officially, so that the state can be notified. So I guess I'm just kinda here to
Yeah.
sweep her along here, sweep her along.
Move the ball down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we have to put it in the paper 4 times, correct? You said?
It's gotta be published once a week for 4 consecutive weeks to notify the public.
Okay, so, and then is there a hearing that the public can attend to say they're against it if they're from there, or what's the point of advertising it? It's just intentionally goes that way?
It's just a notice
Okay,
to let them know that this will happen.
so if you had any business with the city that's incorporated, you could hypothetically then deal with them while the city is still incorporated, okay? Do you guys have a preference?
Sooner the better.
Sooner the better.
If
Doesn't matter for books or anything of that nature, or?
Does it what?
Doesn't matter for the books or anything like
There is
that?
a couple of things that we get a couple of small stipends from the state. One of them's roads, and the other one is state aid. That comes to us on the 21st of every month. So obviously, you know, the July one will be tomorrow. So that'll go into our checking account, but hopefully, you know, and if we had to take one more, if we had to take August, you know, that would be fine, but hopefully by September, you know, everything can jive, and so we don't have to take no more money. So that when, you know, September comes around, we can be done. No more checks will be coming. We can turn our cash, what we have left over to you guys, and then be done.
Okay.
That's what we're kind of looking at. I talked to Candy on the phone yesterday a little bit about it, and, you know, we had our meeting last night there too, and, you know, that would coincide with it, because we have no more bills left. We will not expound any more checks after last night.
Okay.
Everything in the city is paid for. The only thing that will come in is these things from the state into our checking account, otherwise we're done
Okay.
financially.
So when does the paper publish then? Well, I know, but when's the earliest we can get it in, cause it has to be once a week, separated by a week, I would assume is how the century code agreed for 4 weeks. So when's the earliest we can get the first ad in?
Too late for this week.
Okay.
Start next week.
So I would have to get it to the paper by tomorrow in order to start next week.
Okay, so when does it start next week? When's the first publication date then?
What does it go, Tuesday?
Monday, Wednesday,
No.
Thursday.
No, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
So the earliest we'd have it in is the 26th then? So 26th, 2nd, 9th, 16th would be the 4 publication dates. So could we set a date of the 31st of August, or well, actually, we could close it up even before the payment then technically, right?
No, it comes the 21st of August,
Well, the 16th would be the last publication though.
but you ain't gonna have time to get the state notified to get that stopped.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, okay, so the 31st of August would be a good date then maybe?
Either that or the first, any time early in September.
It might be closing book, close out, would it
Yeah,
be like September 1st to make it effective?
we could, yeah.
Because then we would close out August and then we'd be done.
Okay.
And then if there was any, I'll call again, know if there's any back taxes.
No, there's none.
Oh, there is none, okay. Then if there is none, then we don't have to worry about that, which
The
way it would
the
go.
only other check that we're waiting for, and that should be here by then, is from, Insure Forward, or Fire and Tornado Fund, or whatever that one is there. We've got a $533, credit coming back, because obviously we didn't stay with them. But I think that'll be in there, that should be in there
Okay.
also. And then I guess the only other order of business that I'm interested in is, what's the county gonna do? What do you got, are you gonna turn over the township, or are you guys gonna keep it? Or who's gonna be the head totem pole dude?
What do you want us to do? Oh,
I have talked to the Cooley Township guys. They'd say they'd take it, but they're just a little reluctant, I really don't know why. I mean, with 3 families over there, other than snow removal problems, if there is any, I mean, that's the only thing they're gonna get a bitch from. There isn't anything else, there just isn't.
Who is going to, continue to mow all the vacant lots, Paul?
You're looking at it.
You're
I fully intend to do that.
You're gonna
I've done
continue.
it, I told you the other
I
day,
know.
those people I've done for 14 years,
Yep.
out of my pocket, I plan to continue.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it'll stay as you see it today. I told the alumni board, when we had our alumni thing in June, they were all bummed out, you know, thought it was gonna be a wreck like the other side of the tracks. And I said, nah, don't worry about that, it'll all stay as you see it today, as long as I'm alive. After that, I can't say. So if I kick over tomorrow, I can't say. Well, all I can tell you, as long as I'm healthy enough to get on that mower and have a couple chicklings in my pocket, I'll take care of it.
I thank you in advance for that.
No,
It costs a lot,
no.
it costs a lot,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
Well, maybe we could have a contract employee or, and give them some.
I ain't looking for that, I don't
Oh,
wanna
I know,
come, I don't wanna
you're not-
come, I don't wanna come to no more meetings.
No.
I just wanna be done with all that too, I guess.
I know you're not looking for it and not expecting it, but I think that you shouldn't have to take it on as your responsibility. You know, whether we compensate for gas or your time, I think, cause otherwise it would be the county's responsibility to do it. You know, Kevin and his crew would have to be.
Well, you do realize that everything that's left over there is FEMA.
Right.
And you know, with FEMA, they just as soon have the grass and the weeds aside,
Yeah.
they don't care,
We're not supposed to touch it, so.
they don't care,
No.
you know. But as long as there's people living there, I mean, it's just not gonna happen. And as far as, you know, having it attached, I don't want any responsibility. Because if something happens, I get sick or I get hurt, and I'm someplace, even if I'm in my house and I can't do it, I don't want anybody calling or knocking on my door saying, Paul, why ain't you out there fixing this?
Wow.
Or why haven't you contacted somebody to do it? I don't want that responsibility. I'll do it, but I don't want the responsibility. I don't want anybody shaking me up over it, you know what I mean?
Well,
I'm just telling you that, don't worry about it for the next 20, I hope.
Well, I think the intent was, we talked about it when Kevin budgeted too, about, you know, snow removal, road blading, things of that nature. I think under century code, if I am correct, don't we have to take it on? We can't turn it back out?
I don't have it at my fingertips.
I'm just trying to recall what the century code read when we went through this initially, when we approved you guys going to the ballot.
You're right.
I think it said essentially the county has to take it.
Right.
I don't think we, but we're gonna take care of snow, we're gonna take care of the blade. I mean, that's basically what it'll come down to.
Yeah. No, it's just snow removal.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's nothing in the summer. There's not enough traffic there. I got the streets in really good shape, so.
Well, they're already doing the township roads, I think, so they'll swing in and they'll
Well,
take care of the
we're
snow.
way out on the edge, you know, you got nothing there. The other roads went underwater this spring, so it's a long way for Soggy to come over there too, just to go up and down one little road there, so, but not in the winter time. Cause I ain't gonna do it. I'll do mine, but I ain't doing the rest.
Well, we'll make sure it gets taken care of. Steps in the process. Well, at the very least, we can figure out how that's gonna happen, but we have to I guess we have to have a motion to begin publication and then set a dissolution date of September 1st then?
You want to set it at our next regular meeting in September? I don't know.
No,
I think we have to set the date because that's how it's
Yeah.
advertised.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, at the end, you have to have a motion for that?
I think if we make a motion for dissolution, it dissolves after the publication and September 1st, there's no longer a city, it's dissolved.
Well, I mean, it would be okay to make a motion, because in here it's, what step am I on?
And I kinda think that money it has to come back to the county.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
all public records of the
Yeah.
dissolved city shall be deposited with the county auditor.
Yeah.
Yep, I knew that.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that will give us time to get the notice out, to get the state notified, to get
Right,
the account, you know, you and I'll,
yeah, and there'll be roughly 2,800 or 2,900 coming back to you guys.
okay.
We haven't been billed for the June vote yet either, so you'll probably have to take that out after the fact. We'll just let you guys take that out after, rather than having another bill.
Right.
Because we haven't been, you know, we haven't had a bill for that yet, so.
maybe I'll just,
Yeah, well, just so you know, it'll come over. That's about how much it'll come over. Pretty darn close.
Alright.
So does it state in there that the county commission has to set the dissolution date?
if a majority of the votes cast on the question are in favor of dissolution, the county commissioners shall set a date upon which dissolution will become effective, provided provisions have been made for payments of the city's indebtedness, contracts, obligations, and for levying the requisite tax to do so.
Yeah.
The current indebtedness, contracts, obligations do not include funded or bonded indebtedness, nor any contract whose termination date is more than 1 year beyond the date the election was held.
So we have to set a date.
So we have to set a
So we
date.
have to have a motion to set a
Yes.
date then.
Yes.
Sounds like Paul's cleaned up everything else, so it's gonna come down to being in the paper and that's about it.
And then this, let me see, okay, so there's that, then there's the paper. The Board of County Commissioners shall assume control of all property belonging to the dissolved city and shall employ a qualified person to manage and operate the property. and to collect all charges, but like you said, there is no charges.
We've taken it all.
Property charges, just now
Yep.
taking road up.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess I'd entertain a motion then.
Okay. Step
So
one.
moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to advertise, to set a dissolution date for Church's Ferry of September 1st, 2022, and to advertise according to Century Code. Further discussion on the motion?
Everybody's happy with this?
Yeah, the vote was 5-1, and I'll just tell you, the one, you know, it's in the one of the third households. One of them must have voted no. Why, I don't know. I do believe that the reason there was one dissenting vote is because they realized they're gonna be on their own.
Okay.
So, that's as close as you can get. Five out of 6.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, if the dissolution vote is passed, by Century Code, we set a date, I mean, we don't have options to say, no, we don't like it or not, because we allowed for the vote in the first place. So,
Right, and it was all up above board, it was all done correctly here, so,
That's good.
and the only other thing I'll add is you only have one piece of property that will be yours in town. Everything else has been dispersed of, except our original old city hall. The alumni wouldn't take it, so you have one big brick building kind of up on Main Street there. That's the only piece of property that the county would take over within the city limits of Church's Ferry, besides the streets. It's in good repair so far, you know, or as good as anything. It'll stand there a long time, and it looks good. I mean, it's an older building, but it's not falling down, you know, so it'll stand there a good 20 before somebody might have to think about razzing her.
All right, further questions, discussion?
Somebody might wanna buy it. Somebody might wanna buy it.
Never know. Never on the sale block. Okay, no more questions, all in favor of the motion, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thank you for
appreciate
your
it.
work on this,
Thanks,
Paul,
Paul.
appreciate it. Alrighty. Oh,
Well, good evening. I'm in the hot seat now. So, I don't know if you've had a chance to look through the budget that I provided for the state's attorney's office. We followed the guidance from the auditor and treasurer's office as far as wages and increases go. The big expense is the addition of the third attorney with the office. As you know, we had a little bit of bad luck there, but we are posted again and still looking to find somebody. On the whole, if you don't count wages, I've actually had a slight reduction in budget. There's just a few line items that were a little bit over that probably we could trim out on a little bit. But there is gonna be one new line item for service of juvenile court paperwork. And I'm asking for $1,800 there. That's a unfunded mandate from the state. Somebody in Bismarck thought it would be a good idea to tack that onto the state's attorney's office. So we're picking up the cost of that, and then we plan to use Sheriff Nelson in the county and process servers for a lot of the county on the reservation. Any questions about the budget?
pretty straightforward.
Any questions in general about what the hell's going on the third floor? Okay. If you think of something, you know where to find me. third floor, top corner.
I can't remember if it was last year or when we got the numbers for cases through your office when you're maybe looking at an additional attorney. Maybe that's always helpful.
Sure. I still think it's definitely justifiable.
Yep.
You could ask anybody up there, we're working probably a lot more than 40 hours each of us.
I just like those number kind of things.
Well, I don't blame you. I know I came in a little thin, I didn't have nice handouts like my wife, but hopefully you won't hold that against me.
Thoroughly impressed with the other half of the Cummings family.
She's the better half, I'm the other half. So,
Good answer.
thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Steve,
Well,
page 8.
I believe that's the IT one,
Yes.
and that's similar, just increased the salary based off of recommendation. Did increase the maintenance 500 just because all of that went up. But the one big thing is the equipment, which I budgeted 20,000 for a new server that it's time to replace, I guess. Next year it'll be out of, operating system will be out of updates and so that'll need to be replaced next year.
Okay, questions on that part of the budget? Okay, page 15.
Alright, GIS budget, same salary, and I did increase the other line there by 1,500, which is the annual maintenance for the drone to map software that, I guess if we decide to continue, and the city didn't want to participate, that it would be there, I guess.
Okay. Question?
Is that, you don't have any miscellaneous under travel or is that under the miscellaneous supplies
It all gets lumped into there.
into there? Is that annual conference in San Diego,
Yeah,
that's included in that miscellaneous
right, and
supplies deal? Okay.
the software maintenance, and paper and ink for the plotter and all of that.
That plotter's still maintaining and working good?
It seems to be there's sometimes an issue with the scanner, but maybe in a couple of years we'll
Yeah.
up to.
Still hanging in there?
It's 10 years old now.
Yeah, I was just thinking how long it's been since you got that, so it's been a good piece of equipment.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, seeing none?
You can see it.
Steve? Oh, okay, thought we needed something. All right, Candy's up next. Candy's got all kinds of pages. Starting on page 4.
Page 4. My office budget. Nothing really changed. Yeah. Just the wage portion of what was recommended. Let me see, my image, oh yeah, yeah, I got my technology department covered. Okay, so
Okay,
I left the part-time in there for, just in case. Yep.
okay, page 11.
Let's mark them off as I go. 11. Let me see, life insurance, that's the 28 cents that we pay for each employee. That's the $200 that we seem to just hold just fine.
28 cents
28 cents,
for the month, per month, per year?
Yep.
Per year?
Yep.
28 cents?
28 cents, yep.
Okay.
Exactly what you get for $200 then? If you hold, or you just.
Like, well, that's just the county,
Yeah, if you wanna buy more, you can
Yeah.
buy more.
yeah.
So we're getting, how
That's
much are we
pretty much-
giving them for 28 cents?
Is it
Basically,
is it 5,000?
it's a casket policy.
Yeah.
is what it
Oh,
gets
28,
referred to.
oh, 28 cents is pretty,
Can you
pretty
buy
reasonable.
more for that kind of
You
money?
can, yeah, and then it will,
yeah,
like,
what are we
it'll
making,
cost.
56 cents, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
Give them 10 grand.
Oh, Jesus,
But they.
5,000 is what it is?
Interesting.
You should have enough to carry it for 2,000.
Right, right.
What do you got, a star behind 60?
Because, because I made a note for myself, because,
Year.
we're
Crazy.
supposed to be getting,
That's insane.
figures this week. Yeah,
No, that's fine, I just,
Yep.
I figured maybe you had noted that you had a note or something.
nope,
That's been there all the time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been there.
Well, why don't we, a little bit on that?
Yeah, we can always increase it and then just overspend the budget, cause we'll only be like $100 in the hole. It'll be okay. Then we put $300
I'd be
in.
like,
Woo!
yeah. Workers' comp, we're waiting, for email on that. So that's why there's a star beside it, so I just left it the same amount. Unemployment insurance, we've never used it, I don't know what it's for,
But it's there.
it's just there. Then we go to 11A, which is the North Dakota Association of Counties dues that we pay every year. And there's, we're within the amount. We'll go 13. State fire and tornado is the buildings. We saw, just because there were things on there that weren't on there, and there was different value, they up values, so there's where the increase comes in. The liability insurance, that's the vehicle and the equipment portion. And that's the, new vehicles get rid of, just a little bit of increase for that. It's still reasonable, $17,000 for our buildings. Yeah, yeah.
Cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So 17 grand's pretty reasonable.
The next page is legals and publications. I'm gonna check that again, just because I think I can decrease that. Yeah, it's, It's expensive, it's really expensive to publish in the paper, but everything's done by email. You don't talk to anybody on the phone. Yeah.
You don't want to put it in the paper anymore?
No,
We
no,
still have
it's,
to.
yeah, we still have to.
But you just send it to them?
You just send everything in an email format and.
So it's gotten a lot cheaper, you said?
No, no.
Simple to
But-
do.
You know, we've only spent $1,400 and we're already 6 months, you know,
Which is kinda crazy.
yeah.
I think we're more than
Yeah,
that.
so I'm gonna look back at where, you know, where other things, what else came out of there, to see if we're, you know. Next page is the North Dakota water users, the $200 that we pay every year. We have a little piece of paper on our bulletin board that says we're a member.
value for that.
I know. It comes colorful though.
It's like
I
the
mean,
$200 for life insurance.
Yeah, it's
Good deal.
So the next page is postage. I did have it as 35,000, but when we went to convention, there is a change within the postal federal mandate, something that the federal people had control of how often the post office could change their rates. Well, now all that's changed.
So they can change anything.
So now they give them a free-for-all, and they can increase as much as they want, as many times a year as they want. So we've already seen an increase for this in July, and they said by the end of the year, we'll see another increase. So they figure that, you know, years that there will be at least 1 or 2 increases in postage a year. You know, and with, you know,
They're gonna break themselves, it's gonna end up going contract.
you know,
Well, it's
I
just
don't-
like
I don't
anything,
know.
the cost of getting things anywhere is cost, you know,
Yeah.
got all those vehicles out on the road and old fleet and.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
you know. And I mean, I scaled it back for next year because there's not an election. But then I kind of question that maybe I should just leave it, because I don't know if, you know, supplies are gonna go up.
Better leave it.
And by the time we send out estimates,
Oh,
time we
yeah.
send out
Yeah.
tax statements and
Yeah.
everything has to be
Okay,
flat or this big to go through,
okay.
I don't know.
Then we'll leave it at 40.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to, I was
Trying
trying to cut.
to help us.
Yep. Copier is the next. Our setup of how we have it now, it seems to work really well. I mean, we have the big copier between our 2 offices, and we print larger things to there versus printers, so we're not spending as much on toner for our printers, so. That's that. Election. There is always, like a little surplus on and off years if we have to have, any maintenance, done to our vehicles, done to our machines, but, the state has been picking up that bill since we got all the new equipment, so. That's that one. Page 17, mental health, I just left that the same. 18A, the county fair, they submitted their budget for, their 1 mil, as they always do. 18E is the Oasis and Social Security, and I upped that to 10,000. And my last page, 19. The city is staying the same as far as funds requesting for the recycling center. Dakota programs, which is our tax and our tax program. We just got an email about that today. That fee is staying the same. The figure for North Central Planning, they receive 0.25 of, yeah, what it is, 0.25, yeah, 0.25 of a mil, yes. So that's their figure, and that helps with her match money to get funds. In lieu of checks, that we just stayed the same. Paper, that stayed the same. Utilities for the sheriff's house, we haven't gone over the $1,000. That's safe, that's their figure that they requested from their letter. Lake Region Community, what is it, Lake Region Community Shelter, which would be Brenda Bergsrud. They requested $25,000 this year.
Last year was 15.
Last year was 15. And then just 6,000 for miscellaneous. That's some of the breakdown of things that come out of the miscellaneous fund. Planning and zoning, I left. I don't know where things are at with Mr. What's his name?
Lundbeck?
Yeah, there you go. With KLJ.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of trouble with our,
Hazard mitigation plan.
there you go.
With the contract that they have with that as well.
I have not paid any bills. I've notified them that the bill will be paid in full until it's done. And we are, it's overdue, right? Yes, it's overdue. And we have I don't remember how many month extension that Chris told me, before we have to apply again for another extension.
Yeah.
What's the bill?
And for the hazard mitigation plan,
How much?
it was,
Total, it was 36,000. Yes. And this started way last year. And every time that I would get a bill, I would ask Chris, you know, where is it at? What are we doing? Where are we, you know, and he's like, nope, hold off on that. And then he would get a little bit more, he would get a little bit, you know, he'd get a response, and then we'd pay a bill. And now I haven't sent anything, and we're 120 plus days overdue.
And this is different from their contract that they had with the comprehensive plan, but the hazard mitigation plan is for the emergency management. FEMA requires that every county have an adopted, approved hazard mitigation plan in place that's identifies your potential hazards and the mitigation efforts that you have within your county. And in order to receive any federal FEMA dollars in an event of a disaster, if you don't have a hazard mitigation plan in place, you don't qualify for FEMA dollars.
Yeah, federal funds or FEMA funds, yep.
So if you apply for FEMA funds,
Well,
we're approved for some FEMA funds,
Well,
but then we'll get held up because we don't have this in place.
it would, since we have one currently, but it has to be upgraded or updated every
2 years.
2 years or 5 years or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And, so I think it was a year and a half that Chris had come in, we contracted with KLJ to do the hazard mitigation plan. And,
How current is the one we're using?
well, it's within 5 years.
It is.
Yeah. And so it's still relevant and pertains and will still qualify for FEMA dollars.
As long as they keep giving us extensions.
And as long as we continue to get extensions, but it's something that's gonna have to get done and get done soon.
So what it is, we shouldn't have to ask for an extension in the first place. We had
Right.
plenty of time to get this thing done.
Yep.
But I think that he took on so many that, I mean, and we're not the only county
Well-
in that boat.
At the end of the day, then we need to lean on KLJ because we do a lot of business with them.
Yeah. You
I
know.
mean,
Yep.
I'm not blaming the people that we work with on KLJ, they're great, but we gotta lean on them a little bit because we do a lot of business with
A lot
KLJ.
of townships have applied for FEMA money,
Yeah.
and they've been
Yeah.
approved.
And I just don't know who, you know, the next
Well,
one up on that.
From with KLJ.
Right.
tell Chris to figure out who they, I'll talk to him, because we need to put a little pressure on him.
Okay.
We gotta get this done.
Bismarck?
Fargo, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fargo.
yeah.
So you want state's attorney to look into it?
I don't, not to put legal action necessarily, but I think a friendly phone call or would be useful.
You want me to do it or you wanna do it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll talk to him.
Thank you, Adam.
Say, hey, we need to get this thing rolling.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we have a bill out there and then.
How much have we paid so far?
Did I put that in here? I think it's in this. I know the outstanding balance that we have is over 13,000.
13?
And we've already paid some.
And we go, yeah, because I reply back to the email saying that this will not be paid until we receive, you know, and then all of a sudden he'll either get a phone call or a response to the email that he sent to him, you know, the 2 months prior. So we're kind of playing
Time to have a voice conversation.
Yeah.
Better as a visit.
I have to do that.
I mean, something,
I
because I mean, what are we
Shake
paying
the trees a
for?
little bit.
That's my thing, what are we paying for?
Well, either that or give us our money back and we'll go find somebody else.
Yeah, plain and
Right.
simple.
We don't wanna get held up on that.
Well, and,
Yeah,
and
you know, we're at the point where trying to find a new contractor would be extremely difficult.
Right.
And, you know, this thing is pretty time sensitive, so.
Well, if we don't get an extension, then we're really
Well, we'll see what happens, let's see what happens.
Yep,
I'll talk to Chris and then
Okay.
we'll figure out what we need to do.
Yep.
Okay. Is that the end of the budget? We
Um,
kinda rolled into something else there, so.
no, that's, nope. Yep, the others I don't have figures for, so hopefully next meeting I'll have
We'll have
health
good
insurance.
and
Yep.
be scared by that.
Yep,
What are they gonna health insurance?
it's this, they're supposed to get it to me this week.
Okay.
Asked them if I could have it today.
Yes.
Here's your script.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
sure we get your topic is.
yeah.
So I need this right here?
Yeah, it'll be
I
before.
don't need to worry about this,
Percent.
It could be.
so I just read this in here?
It's terrible.
What am I gonna use it?
Huh?
Do we wanna leave the executive until the end?
Can
we do it at first?
Yeah, let's move it, let's move the,
Yeah.
yeah, if that's okay with everyone, we'll move the executive session to the end, that way we
Steve, do you
can,
wanna talk about this quote,
just cause that way we have, yes,
so that everybody knows
yes.
what we've done? Sorry,
No, it's fine.
jump in.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've been looking into upgrading the wireless Wi-Fi in the building. And I guess I talked to the state and they were here and looked around. Also NDTC, and I think what's on your desk is the NDTC quote that.
$4,470 and
Right,
70
yeah,
cents.
and there's some things I would still like to change, but I'd say roughly that's what they say it, because, like there would still be some electrical wiring, possibly, other stuff that, but just a rough idea, because
This will be enough, Steve, to satisfy ARG?
I don't know about, but NDTC says this should be enough to cover the building adequately. I mean, it's not, there might be some dead spots in the corner possibly, but I guess we can figure that out. Just based off the price that it's, I guess, each one, that they, basically 2 per floor, and 2 in the memorial building, that, the state was thinking 4 or 5 per floor. And the state ones, basically, or to install, are 5 times more than the NDTC ones.
But there are gonna be enough outlets for everybody then?
This, yeah, there's,
And are the old ones gonna be taken out, so they're not there?
yeah, we would,
Nobody plugged into a dead one?
well, this is all wireless, but we would, yeah, like, this isn't the final, but I would say approve this and pay it type stuff. Because, yeah, I'd tell them if there's any dead things around, to pull those out too. and-
Right, they'll do that?
Wait, sure they do.
Okay.
So this is 2 per floor,
2 per floor,
okay? And the state wanted to do 4 or 5 per floor, you said?
yes.
So what, if the state wanted to do 4 per floor, why did we get a quote for 2?
Right,
Because we don't need 4.
I just asked what they're, maybe if they're, what they thought would cover the
What are we at currently per floor?
1.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering, because, like you said, if we do 2 per floor and we structure it properly, then if we still have a couple dead spots, can we add a third or whatever? Because I mean, they're only $275 per port run, so maybe put, the concept of we could go to 3 or even just pencil in 3 right away, because it's only $1,200 more dollars, and then for sure we know we got it covered.
Then that would take care of the dead spots.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, you're saying that there's a possibility, do we just go with 3? and just be done
Yeah, that's
with it.
all.
To me, for $1,200, it's worth the money, I mean,
Let's get adequate
or
amount.
$1,500.
I would just say go with 3 and then
Let's just get it
Not
done right.
bad,
Yeah.
3 or 4, not.
for $1,200.
Well, I think 3 is reasonable, I mean, if NDTC thinks 2 is gonna cover, but we wanna make sure that we have coverage, you know, maybe just jump to 1 more per floor so we know we got it, and
And if we do it.
then we'll be done with it.
We're counting the basement, right, 4, right, 2, so it'll be 4 floors we're gonna cover.
Yeah,
And then the memorial buildings will still have the 2, because there's only the 2 basic, you know, meeting rooms and the gym basically, so.
Because when we're doing this, I don't wanna have to have them come back and then we get another $4,000 bill.
Well, the concern of it that I would have is to say you space 2 equally, right? Or however you're gonna have to do it, then if you got some dead spots out on the ends, you're gonna have to move everything and then throw one in the middle or whatever. You know, maybe we're better off just saying, let's overcover to start with, if it costs us a little bit more, it's not an unreasonable dollar figure.
I think over coverage is, you know, to err on the side of safety.
Yeah.
And are these things based on number of users, or is it bandwidth limitations, or
This would be bandwidth, I
bandwidth?
guess. So, yeah, part of this would probably have to up the package that you get from NDTC, because I would like to keep it off of the network that, the state network, I guess, that we're using just for security reasons. Then all of the public is off on a completely separate network, don't have to worry about
Right.
who's connecting to
Yeah.
your network and.
So we'll have guest sign in versus work sign in, or something of that
Yeah,
nature.
It would just be
Or just
basically just general public.
general public Wi-Fi?
If,
I like that.
if any department needs, like the courts already, they have two state network
I mean, that's just question of,
Wi-Fi that, so like maybe the state's attorney would want a state network one just so they would be on the same, walking down the hall on the same network, but.
I know when the roundup comes in the memorial building, is there enough outlets there, is there enough hookups there?
I don't think they've ever had problems there.
They don't do much of it, or?
There's one over there all the time, and we've always moved the extension one on the second floor over since they paid for one 10 years ago when we first put them in.
Okay.
That we moved theirs over to the basement or, so to cover everything else over there. 2 might be enough, and I'm sure we could get a third over there for even temporarily or something.
We could probably do that at any time,
Yeah.
let's just do this thing.
Well, if we're gonna have them out here, let's make sure we
Well, absolutely.
get it done right, it'll be done well, right? Okay,
Right?
that's, we're not, so you're gonna come back with another quote, basically, this is just kind of a heads up.
And I guess, are we okay with paying for it
Yes.
Yeah,
all, or?
I think we'll come back with a quote next meeting, I would say, with the changes, and then we can approve it. Or do we want to approve going along right now?
I think let's just do it now.
Okay.
I make a motion that we go ahead with 3 per floor, and, go ahead,
Get the ball rolling.
yep, get the ball rolling and get the stuff ordered and get them installed.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to contract with NDTC and up to 3 Wi-Fi points, access points per floor. Further discussion, and 2 at the memorial building start. Okay, and we'll see what the bill is, but we have an idea of what we're gonna get. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Alright. Maybe got some work to do. Okay, very good. From there, we're gonna move executive session down to the below visitors and delegations. Let's do Kevin's agenda here.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the, motion to order the Tommy Gate hitch and parts for $4,027.
Okay. Wait for people to get stuff on here.
Need a second?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, to allow Kevin to order a Tommy gate for the new pickup that we'll have coming in, for $4,027 for the gate and everything involved. And they'll install themselves. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, it's just an order we're not paying, so all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next order would be Morris Seal Coats, has given us the invoice for chip sealing, total was $541,821.57. And striping contractor has been contacted, they're gonna do, oh, what? Huh?
It looks good.
Does it? Haven't been on it yet. So they'll be striping the chip seal project as well as Lakewood area, Terminal Road, Cove Road. But we'll need a motion to pay Morris Seal Coat for that $541,821.57 for the chip seal project.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay that bill with Morris Seal Coats. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Brown,
Aye.
Volk,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Deeseth, aye, Lightfoot.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, it's just informational, they had to haul one of the plow trucks to East Grand Forks to be fixed, it's an international, so that's why it's in East Grand Forks, I would guess. It's not regenning power, it's not powering up, not sure what it's gonna cost to get fixed, well, that's always good to hear. When you're talking emissions and regen, who God knows what it's gonna be, but we'll see.
International, we'll get her fixed.
Yep, so that's why I went to East Grand Forks.
Mm-hmm.
Just informational, Strata's bringing their hot mix plant back online next month, so hopefully we'll get our overlay patches done then. And then we also have stuff on our desks information wise. The disaster declaration, presidential declaration was approved on the 14th. Kevin now and his staff have 60 days to get the information entered into the database. According to our policy manual, it would be eligible to be paid for any overtime. The money would come out of the FEMA admin account that we're paid to administer the FEMA funds, so we need a motion to approve any overtime specific to just doing the database entry.
So,
Okay, we have a motion and a second to allow Kevin and the staff to have a possibility of overtime for FEMA project. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Visitors and delegations, do we have anybody who'd like to speak before the commission? Just you to watch?
You're to learn how our county runs business, I guess,
Well, appreciate you coming.
once in a while.
We appreciate you coming. With that.
Candy, were we supposed to discuss this, Simply Square from Rob? That,
It was an email that he had sent, so maybe he put it on the back burner.
Central Square?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I get a motion to close?
Yeah.
We gotta see the authority, and it's at, whatever I wrote on the top.
Okay,
Basically telling us.
alright, so now, as per the agenda that we moved down, we're gonna move into executive session. The next item on the agenda is an executive session to receive attorney consultation, and the topic is negotiating strategy. The legal authority for closing this portion of the meeting is North Dakota Century Code, Chapter 4404-19.2. The purpose of this executive session is for an attorney consultation pursuant to NDCC 4404-19.1, specifically negotiating strategy. At this time, a motion would be in order to discuss the next topic in executive session rather than in an open meeting. Is there such a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move to executive session. Further discussion on the motion? I guess it's an agenda item, so there's no further discussion. We'll need a roll call vote, please.
Brett,
Aye.
Volk,
Aye.
Brown,
Alright,
Deeseth, aye, Lightfoot.
Aye, motion carries. At this point, I have to ask members of the public who are attending the meeting to leave the room. We anticipate adjourning the executive session and reconvening the open portion of the meeting at approximately, how long is it gonna take?
That's up to you guys.
15, 20 minutes, maybe?
Hopefully not that long, but.
Hopefully not that long, we'll say 15 minutes from now. The minutes will show when the executive session begins.
have to order food, take longer now.
Technically, we started the executive session at 6:35, we'll call it.
Very good.
And we are out of executive session, and we are back in open meeting. I will open the door and invite the public back in if there's anybody, and can you tell Steve we need to re-live stream and probably put a break in the film, I suppose?
I think he left.
Okay, so how do we live stream again?
Adjourn. You won't. He's gone.
I'll make sure there's no public here.
Yeah.
Meeting is back open for the hallway.
I don't think there's actually a requirement that you stream, I think it's more of a convenience.
Yeah, there's no requirement to live stream, it's just we do it because we like to be as open as we can.
Yeah.
I announced to the hallway, where there was no one, that we are back in open session. Okay. I guess I would ask, is there any action from the commission following the executive session on negotiating strategy?
I just make the motion, we put it on the next meeting's agenda.
Okay.
Address it and then open it.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to add to the next meeting's agenda a discussion following the negotiating strategy session. I'll put it that way. Further discussion on that motion. Okay,
You might have to have a little more specific on the agenda, so you know who's, what you're talking about.
okay, do we need to specify individual or just topic?
I think you should
Okay,
be
is
as
that,
clear as you can be.
okay, is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion then, and second was made then to include on the next meeting agenda, a discussion on determination on ND PERS benefits for employee Martin Halbach. Good?
Good.
Okay. Further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, very good. We are up to announcements. Any announcements? We've been here for a while.
Resignation at the
Yes.
law enforcement center, Rob Johnson resigned,
Yep.
effective 31st August.
Yes. Yep, saw it in the packet, so. Have a law enforcement center meeting tomorrow morning.
And you'll be.
I'll be there, yep, I got the packet and everything again, so I will.
So they'll be hired.
I don't think we're gonna hire until he's done on the 31st. We can do it at the next meeting in August.
And who was gonna fill it, or just a captain, or?
I'm probably gonna have Star Clemens would help, the sheriff help.
See, it's under the sheriff's purview, so.
I think we'll
Just
be fine.
so that we have someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Star Clemens just kind of been second in command anyway, so.
It'll be the discussion tomorrow morning, I would assume, on how it's gonna be handled, so. Okay, any further announcements? I'd just like to thank Jeff for throwing me in the deep end at the LAC.
Scheduling just worked out poorly.
I'm just kidding, no, I'm just kidding,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I would like to be there because.
No, we've been well informed from you guys the
Yeah.
whole time, what situations are going on and everything, so you could step into a meeting and
Yeah.
seamlessly know
Well,
what's occurring, so.
I appreciate you being willing and able
It's not a
to,
problem.
Yes.
step in. I think it's vitally important that we have full representation on that board.
Speaking of, I gotta remember to email Rhonda that I'm gonna be there tomorrow morning. Otherwise I'll forget, 'cause I'm supposed to be there at 9 o'clock too. Okay, no further announcements? Hearing none, we are adjourned.